Rooted and rising family. Take a deep breath. Let your spirit settle and soften into this message. As we move through the reading, you should be able to see the cards as they come up on the screen. Allow the imagery to just speak to you just as much as the words do. And of course, you do hear Marco's collar dangling as he moves around, Marco the dog. This is a layered message, and it is also a very specific one. So this you have to really discern whether it's for you or not. All right. So as always, we have to take only what resonates and leave what does not. Again, this is a very specific message, meaning it will speak to a certain group of people. And when I speak of masculine and feminine, I am speaking of energy, not gender. A great example is the Emperor. Very masculine energy, right? The pinnacle of masculinity, right? But it does not mean when that card is used that it's talking specifically about a male, okay? So we are working with the Wizard of Oz Tarot deck today. And bricks, that signifies pentacles, when comparing the suits to the traditional tarot deck. That's our foundation, home, stability, right? Groundedness, finances, that's our earth energy. Cans, that is cups, that's our emotions, love, connections, that's our water energy. Then we have spears, that is swords, right? Truth, communications, decision, right? Discernment, mental, dealing with the mind, thoughts, right? But clarity in those things. That is our air energy, cuts through. And then brooms, that's our wands, right? That's movement, action, passion, drive, right? Motivation. That is our fire energy, okay? So we're also going to integrate our oracle decks, the Kipper, Kipper, oracle deck, the What's Gossip oracle deck. The Kipper oracle deck is the one that looks kind of similar to the Barbie cards, all right? Then our What's Gossip oracle deck is right next to it. And then Toxic Relationship oracle, and one card from the Green Witches oracle deck, okay? This message is centered around, don't be afraid of the title, baby making energy, rooted in rising family. Again, this is a collective message, so let's get into it. All right, so rooted in rising family, we start off with the Queen of Bricks. And remember in the beginning, what I stated, the Pacific Tarot deck we are using, the Wizard of Oz Tarot deck, how that correlates to the traditional suits in the traditional tarot, because I'll go ahead and use those names, okay? So we start off again with the Queen of Bricks, a very grounded and beautiful card to start off with when we're talking about baby making energy. All right, this is nurturing, fertile, grounded energy, stability, care, the ability to sustain life. All right. So you are all those things, exist in that card, in that energy, but also the capability, the ability to sustain the life. All right. So Spirit is saying very clearly here, this is not potential, this is readiness. Okay. Readiness. And I also have to state that this could look like what is happening now. So you're in this energy now, you're in the baby making energy now, or it's still unfolding, right? As in it's unfolding now, or even it's something to come relatively soon. All right, relatively soon. So you might be in the preparation stage for baby making energy, rooted in rising. You've reached a place in your life where your environment, your body, your emotions, your stability, all of it can actually hold what is trying to come. All right, this is not about getting ready one day, rooted in rising. This is the phase where something can be received and supported long term. All right, and we tie in the fruit from the Oracle deck, the Green Witch's Oracle deck. That was the only card from that deck, fruit, which I thought was very, very fitting for Bible readers and for, people who use the Bible. It's not just tied to the Christian faith. You have people who practice hoodoo and use the Bible for their workings, according to what they align with. But, the Bible will clearly tell you to be fruitful and multiply. And what are we talking about? Baby making energy, multiplying, being fruitful. Okay, so you can take this as a literal baby, although, how the spirit is leaning, we're leaning towards an actual baby, but also being fruitful in other things. Okay, so we tie in the fruit from the Green Witch's Oracle deck, and that's achievements, success, right? Spirit is just confirming that this isn't luck. This is something that has grown over time. All right, the representation Queen of Bricks, grown over time. You've cultivated this life, this stability, this readiness. All right, so what Spirit is saying is the soil is is already fertile. All right, so this looks like feeling emotionally and physically prepared for a child or family expansion, or just to be fruitful as a whole. Maybe a situation, I'm laughing because my dog is snoring. Maybe a situation or something, something being fruitful financially or whatever else that you're working on. Again, Rooted and Rising is an expansive group, so whatever you're working on as a whole is always expanding. All right, so being in a stable living situation, it could look like that, or actively creating one for those where this is unfolding. All right, because this baby making energy is coming in stability, right? And something formed and something grounded and secure. All right, it's not surprise I'm here. Oh, yeah. So I'm not speaking against that. Been there, done that. I can tell you. But anyway, also having the capacity, again, the ability to nurture something long term. That's that Queen of Bricks energy. Queen of Bricks, that is the feminine energy of stability. Again, nurturing, though, fertile, grounded, so emotionally stable energy. All right, secure, secure even financially, because it's our earth energy. Our pentacles is earth. Earth is stable, it's grounded. And it also will talk about finances, as well, because, finances has a lot to do with being stable, right? Right. So we'll move along to the Four of Bricks. All right. I do, like that the theme seems to be very pentacle heavy energy when we're talking about baby making energy. It's a wonderful thing. It is, it's difficult to bring in new life unstable. All right, again, I am not judging. Been there, done that. All right, so 4 bricks is our next card. All right, this is protection, right? Holding, securing your foundation. And normally, even the traditional tarot deck or any deck that has this representation, you will normally see whatever they're using. Even with this Wizard of Oz, you saw the image in the beginning. One of the flying monkeys, he's holding on to something, guarding. They'll always be holding on to those pentacles. All right, it can represent also miserliness, right? Which is kind of a negative meaning to it. Misers don't want to spend money on anything. They hold on, though. They hold on. All right, they hold on to that money. So, and depending on what we're talking about, it could be protecting or holding on to something, right? But since we're talking about baby making energy, again, we're going to use this as the form of securing your foundation, right? Holding, protecting, right? Spirit is not speaking that we're doing this out of fear. This is in intentional, right? You're becoming more mindful of your space because you're preparing to receive something, all right? So you're just not letting anything in any old body in, right? So this is being intentional about your health and routines if you're preparing for a literal baby, right? So you may be making different health choices, different lifestyle changes, maybe taking in different foods and eating things that maybe are more aligned with your makeup. That is a thing. Eating foods that are more aligned with you, which everything is not for everybody, including what we eat. Some things are better for other people depending on the makeup of their body and yours, right? Eating things that are in season because one, they tend to taste better because they're in season, but our body tends to be at one with the earth and crave those things, or what is in season is what we actually need. So maybe eating things in season, more fresh, more, at home cooked items where you control the ingredients. It could look like those things, all right? Walking, practicing yoga, Pilates, depending on, again, what is ideal for your body type and you. Some people, it's ideal that they do very vigorous exercise. Some people, need more walking and stretching, right? Even just coming up with a routine of breathing deeply, breathing techniques, grounding, meditation, those kinds of things, health and routine changes, whatever they may be. All right, being intentional about those things, protecting your emotional and physical environment. Again, you don't entertain everyone. You are in the mode of protecting who is in your space, all right? Not everyone is allowed in. You are no longer just be like, well, I'm just going to be cordial. I'm going to do the right thing. It's not polite. You are like, no, if we are not aligned, I am not letting you in to bother my peace. And you're protecting your emotional health. If you're trying to create life, you must be emotionally grounded, which is wonderful to start off with that very Queen of Pentacles energy, right? Grounded, stable, emotionally sound. And you must be, right? Creating a stable, undisturbed space, peace in your home, which again, that very miserly attitude is peace in the home. Again, not letting any old thing and any old body disrupt your home environment. Even, keeping the peace between you and your divine counterpart. You two keeping it peaceful with one another, right? A very at-home, relaxed environment, all right? So when you both enter the space, it's a calm, it's a calm, right? There is no tension there. That means resolving issues, right? Collaborating peacefully. It could be, compromising where needed, and just being an emotional support for one another, supporting each other in the day-to-day household tasks, those kinds of things, being emotionally available for one another, not assuming just because, the masculine energy is masculine energy, they need no emotional support. And not assuming because, she generally takes care of X, Y, and Z, then I don't have to lift a finger, give and take, equal give and take, right? And that protects the peace in the home. Speaking to each other with very kind tones. I'm talking to myself. Kind words. Kind energy and tones towards one another, even in disagreements, all right? Because you want to come to a resolve. You have learned, rooted in rising, that we cannot, that being, abrasive is not necessarily the right way to get your way, all right? So let's learn how to communicate effectively and soundly with one another to keep the peace in your environment, right? We're holding on to peace, being intentional about protecting our space, making very good lifestyle choices, Again, creating undisturbed spaces, and protecting ourselves emotionally. All right. And then we can also add from the Kipper Oracle deck. Oh my gosh, talking today. As people will say, my throat chakra is off. I'm having a hard time talking. Anyway, Kipper Oracle deck pathway. We move on to that. That is distance, slow growth, long roads ahead. I'll take a sip just because of that. Hold on a second. Tasty. Y'all see me do my tasty dance. Anyway, I get so excited. If it's something I like, it just makes me excited. I don't know. So anyway, distance, slow growth, long roads ahead. This speaks of a journey that is not rushed. We started off with a very stable, grounded card, the Queen of Bricks. So there's no rushing there. All right. So this is slow growth, long roads ahead. Again, this speaks of a journey that is not rushed, that builds over time and lasts. And rooted in rising, our collective reads, we get a lot of Ten of Pentacle energy. That's our legacy cards, right? Our long lasting things, our generational things. So you're already that type of group that wants to build or is about building things long-term that are stable, that is sound, that lasts. All right. So Spirit is saying this connection and this path has longevity. The connection that's coming or the one that you're already in, especially since you're in baby making energy, all right? Whether it's unfolding or whether for you, it is already here. All right. This is not something temporary or fleeting. What you're stepping into is meant to unfold over time and continue to grow. All right. Just because you have been together a while doesn't mean you stop growing. All right. You continue to grow and learn, right? And bestow your wisdom on others, right? All right. Anyway, and that matters because what's being created here requires that kind of stability. All right. So this could look like a long-term partnership that continues once again to grow. A life path that supports expansion over time, a connection that is built to last, not to pass through. And starting off with the Queen of Bricks means you're not that kind of a person anyway. All right, you're not looking for that. Queen of Bricks, again, maturity, stable, nurturing, grounded. So there's nothing fleeting. It is a earth energy. It's not passion driven. So there's nothing about that type that says you want something fleeting or you're willing to entertain something fleeting at this point anyway. It doesn't mean you never have been there, done that. Just saying you're not at this point where fleeting is going to be anything on your radar. If anything fleeting is actually going to be repelled from you because your energy is, you already step in saying, okay, no. Just she's not somebody that is going to accept my tomfoolery. All right. Some still, they try to go there. All right. Same thing. Just because this is a feminine energy card doesn't mean we're talking about just women. Same thing with the man. You're not in that energy of, I want to entertain, one night stands here. Been there, done that. I've got that all out of my system here. But anyway, you're in a energy of, all right, I'm only entertaining the longevity, all right? And those who are not will filter themselves out, really, because they won't be in a space, in a sense, to hold you. You're not somebody that they could hold long because they don't have the capacity to, all right? So we move on to the Six of Spears, all right? This is transition rooted in rising, moving from one environment into another, leaving difficulty behind and stepping into peace, all right? And you're already in that miserly attitude anyway. You're protecting your peace anyway, all right? So Spirit is saying you're not just emotionally shifting, you are physically or practically moving into a space that can actually support the life you are building, all right? The baby making energy, yeah. Again, which speaks of longevity, stability, all of those things. Baby making energy needs all of those things, all right? So this is not about leaving behind stress alone. It's about entering an environment that is calmer, which is why you're protecting your space anyway, safer and more stable, and why you're making those lifestyle changes anyway. All right, and none of these changes you feel pressured to do. You're just naturally doing that because you're growing, you're changing, you're becoming a better version of you. So this can look like, though, relocating to a new home or environment, leaving behind chaos, stress, instability, moving into a space where life feels calmer, a space in just life where it feels calmer and more aligned. Again, rooted in rising. You've likely dealt with stuff already. You left a lot behind, all right? So you left the nonsense and you're moving into calmer, more aligned spaces, energy, people, environments, whatever it looks like. All right, even leaving behind cities or states or countries. All right, you're leaving things behind and moving into something that is more aligned with you, but it is calmer. All right, it is peace. All right, it is a new start that's calmer and more aligned with who you are now. All right, you left who you were and you're moving on to something better because it's more aligned with you. Because when we go through things, they're not fun, but it does shape us. It does grow us. Well, I shouldn't say all of us. It's supposed to. For those who are in the energy of growth, it shapes you, it grows you, it matures you, and it ultimately changes you. So you naturally start to reach for things that are higher because you are no longer where you were or who you were. All right, so all of these things that we are moving through is our baby making energy. A lot of groundedness, maturity, stability, legacy is all needed for that energy to arise. If you notice, nothing is sounding like anything is forced. It's flowing, it's moving and moving, steadily. Doesn't mean it's moving like today, but it's moving at a grounded pace. It's moving at a pace that is, built on stability, all right? But it's moving peacefully, all right? It's not being forced, all right? It's not moving out of force or control, all right? Everything is aligned. Doesn't mean there's no disagreements or no hiccups. But it's not you exerting yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, in any other way. It's not burdensome, it's flowing, all right? So we move on to the Seven of Cans, all right? We're moving on to the Seven of Cans. We had the Six of Spears before, which is transitioning, moving from one space to another, whether that is a calmer space in life, but are leaving behind like stress and chaos. And even for some, that's relocation. And so we have the Seven of Cans. All right, this is options, multiple considerations, many moving pieces. Seven of Cans can also represent, confusion because you have all these different options. All right, but in this context, pulling this card, and with all our surrounding cards in our oracle cards, all right, it's leaning more towards just having multiple options, multiple considerations, many moving pieces, all right? Transitioning for those who are literally transitioning from one place to another. Physically, again, that's many moving pieces because moving is a big transition and you have a lot of pieces in moving, right? Where are we going to move to? What are we going to do with the furniture? Are we keeping it? Are we selling it? What's staying? What's leaving? You know what I mean? What will the new place look like? Do I go ahead of time to scope things out? Do I do everything virtually? X, Y, and Z. Internationally, of course, work visas, passports, flights, whatever else, everything that is all involved in that, all right? And so Seven of Cans is the multiple considerations, multiple moving pieces. Some of you who are moving or transitioning, from the previous card, which speaks of transition, all right, maybe you have multiple things to consider in your transition as you have multiple options. Maybe you have multiple job offers, all right? Maybe you have multiple things that are viable that you're looking into, and now you're filtering between what would look or be best for you, best for you all as a whole, best for the baby making energy. And, you have all these different considerations, which is a beautiful thing, all right? Again, you're a group that expands. You don't sit still. You're working on different things, all right? Some of you may have multiple things to choose from, multiple offers to choose from, multiple options, multiple places to relocate to, all right? And it's about making those choices between what will, in the long run, be best for you, all right? So again, this is the reality of where transition shows up. There are many things to think about, to organize, to decide. So this is not confusion, all right? This is responsibility, because for those, it pertains to, once again, when you're preparing for relocation or for building a home, and definitely for that baby making energy, expanding your life, everything has to be considered, right? So this may look like handling, again, logistics, like housing, finances, documents, and timing, making multiple decisions at once, all right? Balancing responsibilities while preparing for a major shift, all right? Handling where you already are while handling where you're moving into, right? Those things, all right? Then we move on to the Kipper Oracle deck. Once again, main male, all right? Lover, masculinity, main focus of attention, all right? And what I'm saying here, again, remember the disclaimer in the beginning portion, all right? Masculine energy, but in this case, it is talking about the male, all right? It doesn't mean that you don't put yourself where you feel like you belong in it, okay? I am not going to dictate that for you, all right? If you have a very masculine energy and that's what you resonate with, then you put yourself here, okay? But I am only going to speak to me, and I'm only going to speak to the energy is giving off in the card, all right? Main male, lover, masculinity, main focus of attention, all right? This represents the masculine energy as the focal point. The two cards before, transitioning, from one place to another, and it could even be situation, darker place, lighter place. But most of what I'm saying to me gets to more like one place to another, relocation. But we have the Seven of Cups, and that's the multiple options. And then we have the main male. To me, this card is representing that whatever this transition is, all right, the masculine energy is the focal point in it, all right? So the communication is this transition, this movement, or this next step is strongly connected to the masculine's direction, okay? Now, your divine counterpart is in it, and that, again, is whether you identify as the feminine or the masculine, whichever one that is, all right? But it seems like this transition, especially for the relocation people, it's mostly centered around the male energy, okay? Again, put yourself where you feel like you belong in that energy, all right? I'm not going to tell you if you identify with male or female. I'm not putting that on anybody. Just this card is speaking of the male, all right? Again, this movement, this next step is strongly connected to the masculine energy, the masculine's direction, all right? It doesn't mean that the masculine energy is in control of everything, but the opportunity seems to be centered around the masculine energy. So this could be his opportunity, his path, his positioning, but it's something that is influencing where you both are going together, okay? It could also be something that he put in motion, that he started, all right? Doesn't mean that you didn't help. Doesn't mean that, you didn't influence. Doesn't mean that you weren't on his heart and mind, but it's something that the male energy put in direction, So the opportunity seems to be focused on his path and his positioning. Doesn't mean you don't have a place in it, but this opportunity, especially for those that actually will be relocating somewhere, it seems to be focused on the male energy and whatever they put forth. About 3-4 readings ago, you were in expansion energy. That deck was the Hoodoo Tarot deck, was using the 3 of Sticks or the 3 of Wands, expansion energy. So whatever was being expanded on, All right. And then we moved on to legacy energy. So it is fruitful. And even in that reading afterwards, you talked about the world card and moving. This seems to be, again, once again, signifying baby making energy is tied to even this, all right, the moving. So whatever was set out in the Three of Wands, and that has turned into the Ten of Pentacles. That's your longevity, your legacy energy, your generational energy, generational wealth, that kind of thing. That's like the slow growth, long roads ahead Kipper Oracle card. They kind of match or mirror the Ten of Pentacles. Whatever was set out there and turned into Ten of Pentacles energy is centered around whatever the male or masculine energy put out, it seems. All right, doesn't mean that the other energy is not connected to it. And once again, wherever you want to put yourself in that energy, put it there. No one's saying that you I'm going to dictate where you put yourself in it. Yes, that is smoke. That's the incense burning. All right. Again, this could be his opportunity, his path, something he put out. All right. His positioning. But it is something that is influencing where you both, once again, are going together. So this could look like moving because of the masculine's career or opportunity or something that the masculine started to build. All right, following a path that is initiated or led by the masculine's energy. Maybe it is the masculine's energy. Maybe it's their idea. All right, aligning your direction with your partner's long-term plan. Again, maybe they have a plan. You said that sounds great because, again, you're in the communication is key. And it's aligned communication. So you're not going in circles with disagreements. And you said, all right, let's do it. So whatever it is, it seems to be centered around whatever the male is working on, all right? And it seems like it's coming into flourishing or it's fruitful as we have that card pulled, fruit. So whatever it is, it's bearing fruit and you're acting on it, all right? The both of you together, but it seems once again to be led by that male energy. Then we have another card from the Kipper Oracle, Journey, all right? Journey. All right, so this is travel, movement, physically going somewhere, all right? With your kid. And that's why, even though it could, the transition, can be speaking of just situations. Most of the cards surrounding in the Oracle cards are really hyper-focused on movement. So that's why seems to be mostly tied to actually moving somewhere, going somewhere. All right. And so that's why a lot of it to me had to do with that. Okay. And I just like this card, so I just want to show you. Well, I guess you have it again. I'll remind you of it. So Journey is the card. Vacation, travel, escape. All right. We're not escaping. All right. Again, we're in very grounded energy. So there's no escaping here. I'm sorry. My throat is dry. Lipstick everywhere. Lipstick lady. Anyway, this is travel. Movement, physically going somewhere, right? Literally traveling. I think a lot of you, rooted and rising, are moving, all right? Even if it's just a small move, a lot of you are going somewhere. And Spirit is confirming this is not just internal, you are going somewhere once again. This is relocation, a move, a shift into a different environment. All right, even if it is moving from a different like work location, there's something about movement. All right, and this movement is tied directly to what your divine connection, what you two are building together. All right, it's not a solo thing. All right, so again, this looks like traveling or relocating to start a new chapter, which is a journey. All right, and I don't think that this is something that's like, I don't know, temporary, put it that way. Like all the cards again are pointing to longevity, long roads. So this, whatever this is, it's to build something long term. I don't think this is a move or a relocation where it's temporary. A couple like military moves, you move every 2 to at the most 5 years. I don't think it's that. I think this is something that you're going to really build something. So whatever you're moving into is for legacy. It's not for, anything temporary. But anyway, yeah. So again, or leaving behind one life and stepping into another. All right, y'all are going somewhere, rooted and rising. All right, then we move on to the Two of Cans, and I love this card. All right, this is mutual love, emotional alignment, partnership. And most cards, you will always see these cards represented by, of course, two people, because that's what it's about. Two people pouring into one another's cups equally. That's what it's about. Mutual emotional alignment. There's not one pouring into the cup and one receiving. They both are pouring equally into each other. So again, this connection, and that again, just solidifying, this is not something that you're doing alone. This is not something where you're going by yourself. This is a partnership. So this connection is different. This is a shared vision. So whatever you had before, this connection is not that. It is not the same. You are done and over with whatever you used to gravitate towards you in the past, and you used to gravitate towards whatever unreciprocated connections, situationships you ever had. This partnership is not like it. It doesn't mean you won't again have any problems, but once again, this is alignment like no other. All right, it's mutual. You two will be looking out for one another. All right, there is no one is giving, other is taking. All right, there is no one being inconsiderate of everyone in the household, you know what I mean, and hoarding in every way all the resources while the household suffers. You two are working it out together. This is real partnership. Okay, all right, this connection is very different. It is a shared vision, and if you have the same vision, you can move, and you can move together. All right, you can move easily, not without difficulty, but smoothly, easily. You can get over the hurdles together and quicker. All right, you are not convincing anyone. You're not chasing or forcing. I even mentioned that before. This is done with ease. All right, this is something both people want. All right, it could look like a balanced mutual relationship, open emotional communication, a shared desire to build a future together. All right, now this is just not, I know it is speaking of emotions, so because the cans are here be represented by the cups, it's not just because it's relationships or emotions or relationships, but it's not just, this can be representative of more than just romantic partnership. All right, definitely the divine connection is there, but this will also speak to other balanced mutual relationships. Again, friendships. So wherever you're going, friendships, connections, you need that. You need people around you, and other sorts of business partnerships. All right, networkings. All right, business relationships, those kinds of things as well. My dog. Mutual and balanced as well. Open emotional communication, no one trying to take advantage. All right, both aspects still pouring into one another. Okay, not one, I'm going to use you and then drop you when it's no longer viable for me. All right, you both are building together, even if it's just a network or a business type of relationship or a friendship. Okay, it's not an unreciprocated friendship where you got one person relying on the friend for everything, emotional support, to really be there for them and confide in them, and then you can't even get a hello, how are you back when you need it. All right, it's not that. That is done and over with, and you're holding on and protecting. You're not in a space to deal with anything like that anyway. So if any signs of that, you are quick to say, okay, nope, not doing it, right? Been there, done that. I've given people the benefit of the doubt, done that enough times to understand when people show me who they are in the beginning, believe them, and I'm not going to entertain years of this nonsense. I'm going to nip it in the bud, and I'm going to have peace. Boo-hoo-hoo, you don't like me. Boo-hoo-hoo, she's so mean. That's your problem, okay? but I'm gonna have peace. All right, then we're gonna move on to the Four of Brooms. This is home, baby making energy, stability, foundation, celebration, right? Spirit is saying you're not just creating a living situation, you are creating a true home environment. It is the true home, sweet home, right? It will feel like that when you step your foot in it, right? This is a place where there is peace, true serenity. All right, where there is emotional safety, you are okay to express yourself. Where there is consistency, all right? And I'm going to reiterate emotional safety. You don't have to be afraid to want affection, to show affection. You don't have to be afraid to convey your emotional needs, your desires, all right? None of that is going to you're not going to be made to feel as if you were, I don't know how to say it nicely, and like just stupid or an idiot for, wanting affection in this way or that. It doesn't mean that the other person, will agree with that type of affection, but you will be able to voice it, all right? And feel supported in it, all right? Because, where else should you be able to? It's why I don't get relationships where you just can't, be safe in every way. Again, this is an environment where you be safe in every way, okay? There is true peace, emotional safety, consistency, all right? You are free to express yourself in every way with your partner, okay? Even passionately, all right? You should be able to express passion without feeling like, oh my goodness, once again, she's untouchable. All right, vice versa, you should be able to express, the want for passion. You're in a connected mutual relationship without feeling like, man, he's cold. You know what I mean? All right. And again, that's a discussion between what you like to do in that area, and it's not such a big deal. If it's something the other doesn't really prefer, you'll work that out, all right? But you're not going to be made to feel like you're just, such a horrible person for having those desires. It is what it is. What is the point of being connected in that way? Especially those who are married. It's like, where else are you supposed to express yourself that way? That's ridiculous. I may not do it, but I'm not going to make you feel like a fool for wanting it. I'm like, well, okay, that's interesting. Now, maybe we can do a variation of that. But I'm not going to make you feel like you're just, whatever. How dare you? My pearls! I'm sorry, like what? Where else are you supposed to express it? So this is safety on every aspect, emotionally, passionately, consistency as well, and peace in the home. All right, you are free for hugs and kisses and holding hands if that is how you express yourself emotionally, if you desire those things. All right, again, a little smack on the ass every day. Hey, baby, I missed you. There's nothing wrong with that. She doesn't feel untouchable. All right. She may not want to be bothered sometimes, especially if it's that time of the month. You just learn to read her. Okay. And the same thing, she doesn't feel like, I cannot in any way be affectionate with him because he's very cold. There's none of that there. All right. You feel warm and inviting to one another, and there's peace and safety in every element in the home. All right. It's not without disagreements, but once again, it can be resolved with communication. When you have a partner here that is not going to repeat the past that you've likely dealt with in the past where communication was pretty piss poor, all right, or pretty hostile, all right, you're going to have someone who would rather resolve something so that you can move forward. Because in all of this, there's continued movement. There's nothing that's keeping you stagnant or standing you still. There's movement, all right? It doesn't mean that all of it's quick movement. It's steady, reliable movement, but it's movement, all right? All right, we move on to the 9 of Cans. All right, this is fulfillment. All right, this is emotional satisfaction, wishes fulfilled. All right, a lot of the traditional tarot deck will use that word, wishes fulfilled or wish fulfillment. All right, contentment. All right, the Spirit is saying you feel good here. It's so many cards here given in this reading about feeling good, all right? Warm, joy, peace. It's wonderful, all right? And Spirit, once again, is reiterating through this card, you feel good here, all right? First, we have safety in every area. Now we just have a general feeling of just feeling good, all right? And that matters deeply, because this is not something that can be built in stress or instability. Remember, we're talking about baby making energy. All right, for some of you, literally a baby, but baby making energy needs all of these things, all of this emotional safety and stability and security and longevity, and baby making energy needs all of those things. All right, this is emotional peace, once again, joy and satisfaction with your connection. All right, again, this can look like feeling emotionally secure and happy, experiencing satisfaction in your relationship, even in the passionate area. I love it. Feeling at peace, I love it. Anyway, feeling at peace within your life and connection. And I know, I do love it. I just don't understand why people get so uptight about it. My Lord, especially when you're just in a connection where that's supposed to be expressed. I don't know. I don't get the need to be so uptight about it. It's life, and it's a part of life. And it's a beautiful thing when it's experienced with the right one. So I don't get all this, whatever about it. Anyway, everything it's not like, oh yeah, everything goes. I'm just saying. I just don't get acting so, oh my gosh, who do you think I am? I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't know you were into that, and okay. Now, I'm not going to do it. But that's interesting. You might have to educate me on what that is. I'm not going to just shun you. I'm like, well, I learned something new today. Not going to do it. Maybe a variation. Let's see. Let's compromise. All right? But it's not such a huge dang on deal. Okay? All right, we'll move on to the Ten of Spears. We'll get on past it. Because some people are just so sensitive, oh my gosh, about it. All right, this is final endings, painful closures, and the completion of a chapter, right? But it's not in the sense of, some of the things you've likely went through way back when, all right? For those that are in it now, some people, again, this is still unfolding. All right, remember we were talking about these big transitions from one place to another. It was a lot of relocation energy, okay? So Spirit is saying this transition, it does come with real endings, especially for those who are physically actually moving, all right? Not just small changes, but closing out an entire phase of life, because this moving, for those who are really moving, none of the cards were speaking, once again, of a short-term thing. You're moving into something that is long lasting. It's something that will solidify the long lasting legacy energy. It's not something that's temporary. So you are really moving into a new life rooted in rising. All right. So there will be some real endings. All right. Not just small ones. All right. Closing out entire phases of life, because you're moving into something long term, and moving, for those who are into something that is long term. All right. And if you're moving overseas for a very long time and most of your family is somewhere else, you can imagine that those are painful closures or not final endings in that sense, but endings, right? So we add in the Kipper Oracle deck, long distance, yearning, time apart, difficult goodbyes, which goes very neatly with the Ten of Spears, which stands for final endings, painful closures, completions of a chapter, something that's just complete endings over, right? So Spirit is showing that these endings can carry emotional weight, even though our swords is typically not an emotional card, but the endings can carry emotional weight, right? So this is the energy of saying goodbye to people, right? Places, families, all right? A life that has been familiar, especially those moving. If you're moving overseas, that's maybe different languages, different cultures, different ways of thinking. You know what I mean? So very, very different things to adjust to, different foods, all right? Different rules, very, very big adjustments, all right? And yeah, even moving from state to state, I can even say, I can attest to that, because for those that don't know, once again, I am a Navy brat, so I have literally lived from place to place to place to place to place to place to place my entire life. And even moving from city to city or state to state, people are very different. And very different. All right, you will find it's like, wow, one state over, just their thinking and what they do and say is totally different than someone 2 states over, right? All right, and then when you deal with people who haven't been anywhere else but that one state, the mindset is quite different. So you could feel like you're in a different country. For those who are just moving to a different state, it really is an adjustment, okay? Especially if you're moving from a different, like say you're in the South moving West Coast, or West Coast moving East Coast, all right? That can feel like a different country. So you have a whole different outlook to deal with, foods, dialect, everything. Anyway, so again, this is the energy of saying goodbyes to people, places in life that's been familiar, all right, for a long time. So there can be attachment here, obviously family as well. Some of you, maybe even children, all right, memories here and history there, memories and history, that kind of thing, right? So even though you're moving, and this looks like you're moving into something great, rooted in rising. So even though you're moving into something better in a sense, there can still be emotion in what you're leaving behind, especially if you've never been anywhere. It's not a down look on people who have not. You always want the opposite of what you have. I've always just wanted to have been in one place all my life. And people I talk to who've been in one place all their life, it's like, girl, you don't want that. I just wish I could have moved around. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. All right, different takes. So they're like, and I'm like, well, one person all your life. You have a childhood friend. And they're like, oh, that is not all cracked up than what it seems like. Everybody is nosy in your business, la la la. And I'm the opposite. Like, well, I don't know. You always want, I think, the opposite of what you have. So people tell me that they would rather have moved. And I say, no, trust me, you don't want to have moved from here to here to here. You'd rather have built something and stayed. So anyway, no, I'm appreciative of moving. Again, you have a very different outlook when you have been a lot of different places and around a lot of different people, languages, and cultures. So you find that your mind, you have a hard time maybe fitting in, because your mindset is totally different usually from where you are at, because you have been here. So a multitude of how people act, behave, think, and not just when you're in one state all your life, that. And so when you go and you've been here, there, and you do something, oh, why is she doing that way? You know what I mean? A lot of that. You'll get a lot of not fitting in. Even if your way is quicker or better, or your way of thinking is, you get it done like that, it's still questioned, because, well, that's not what we do here. Well, good thing I'm not from here. And so I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. And you're just going to have to be mad. And I got done 10 times faster. Don't you love it? Anyway, so I appreciate the mindset. Is it lonely at times? Yes. All right. But I'm not looking down on anybody for having something different. All right. Again, I think you always want the opposite of what you've had. All right. But anyway, this is the energy of saying goodbye to people, places in the life that's been familiar. All right. Again, say goodbye to families, friends, or familiar environments. Leaving a place you've known for a long time. Closing out a chapter that holds emotional significance. Feeling the weight of those goodbyes while still moving forward, because rooted and rising, you don't look back. You're going. You are like, nope. You're forward moving. All right. You're always planning, looking ahead, looking forward. You have to be, staying on top of things. Where can we go from here? All right. Even when you've gone into that thing, you're not going to stop moving and moving forward, and in some capacity, in some way, even if it's something that you're not moving forward, maybe in changing the type of something that you're doing, but how can you move forward in that thing? All right, because things are always changing. So you are willing to always change with it, especially if you want to continue to be fruitful. All right, then we move on to the King of Bricks. We started off with the Queen of Bricks. Now we meet the King, right? And we are just about through here. And my lunch is just about over, so I need to hurry up. Anyway, all right, King of Bricks, which we started off with the Queen of Bricks. Now we get to meet the King, the masculine energy to the Queen, right? Again, grounded, stable, provider energy, because we're in baby making energy, right? So, and I'll wrap up and say that in the end. So again, this is grounded, stable, provider energy, all right? Someone who builds, sustains, and thinks long term. Our King of Bricks, they may be more slow moving because they are about long-term stability, all right? And if you are not about stability long-term, they are not about to deal with you. It won't be rushed, all right? Ain't no rushing here. No quick decisions. It will be well thought out. It may drive you crazy, but when they move, all right, when they move, all right, there will be no mishaps and no missteps because it was thought out. It is not thrown together, all right? It is done thoroughly and done right, okay? I done got off a bit, but I'm just letting you know. Anyway, grounded, stable, provider energy, all right? King of Bricks is someone who builds, sustains, and thinks long terms, and always thinking ahead too. All right, spirit is not just describing a person here. All right, spirit is just showing the kind of masculine energy that can actually hold a family, because this is baby making energy. All these things need to be what it is for that baby making energy. Again, you put yourself wherever you feel like you fit in the energy, right? All right, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you have to be in the Queen of Pentacles energy. Again, those attributes are not just talking about a woman, all right? These attributes is not just talking about a man, but you put yourself wherever you feel like you fit. All right, anyway, spirit is showing you the kind of masculine energy that can actually hold a family. All right, grounded, stable, provider, long-term, always thinking, looking ahead, very thorough, very grounded. That means they're emotionally stable. All right, they're the kind of energy that can actually hold a family, sustain a family. All right, build a family. All right, stick around for a family. Anyway, this is not someone who is uncertain, all right, inconsistent, or emotionally unavailable, all right? That's the great thing. They're grounded, but also available in their emotions, all right? As in they're around to be in a emotional support, all right? They're not just, the old-fashioned father. I provided, I brought the money in, but, at the same time, I'm not going to hug my children or acknowledge them. But they are taking care of the home, right? Anyway, I know what that's like. Anyway, I can only speak to what I know. Anyway, so they will actually be emotionally available within the family and grounded as well. Okay, they're there to support you emotionally and even the children. They can build an actual relationship with this energy as well. All right, so they understand responsibility, they understand provision, and they understand what it means to build something that lasts. Again, King of Bricks is about what lasts. All right, sustainability. All right, they're not out here doing, stupid stuff very quickly, because they don't make decisions like that. All right, and then they're also the energy where you're not going to force them to make one quick either. So you just have to be pretty patient, regardless if it frustrates you. But you have to allow people to be who they are. All right, and often what frustrates the partner, because normally they'll be paired with somebody who's very, let's go. So y'all will just both make each other mad, because one is like, all right, let's move, and the other one's like, no, let's slow this down. Let's think this through. Right? But if you think about it, yin and yang, they need each other. One does need the other to slow them down, and the other one does need the other one to push them forward. So, at the same time, they'll probably be getting on each other's nerves. So it's a great thing that we learned early. Communication is key. All right, it's not just circular arguments. They still will disagree to disagree. You know, if it stagnates movement. All right, we'll move on. Okay, so this kind of energy, this is the kind of energy that doesn't just, they don't just want a family. All right, they're prepared to support one. Again, when you get to that point, for those who are not there yet, unfolding, or it's not even unfolding, they haven't really come to that stage yet, and you got some who are in it. All right. All right, so this masculine thinks about the future, about security, about what is needed, not just right now. Again, I said they're always looking forward. All right, but long term. There is intentionality here. All right, how to provide, how to protect, how to sustain. All right, always thinking ahead. And in the context of baby making energy, this definitely matters deeply, right? And those who already have children already know, especially if those children were like, surprise, here I am. You already know how important that is, right? You're like, damn, I wish I'd have did that. I wish that all of this was active before surprise. I'm just laughing because that's, when I found out, that's what I wasn't happy, but that's what the nurse, yay! Oh, you're gonna be a mom, surprise! I said, what? I said, no, Jesus, no. She was so happy for me. I said, no. Anyway, I probably was happy deep down. I'm just saying. I had none of this in place. So I was like, no, Jesus, no. And then she grounded me, because you need grounded in. And she said, honey, this is not a teen pregnancy. She said, at this point, you know how birth control works. That's what that lady told me. I looked at her like, for real? But anyway, she wasn't wrong. Was she wrong? She wasn't wrong. But she was wrong. She hurt my heart. I was like, okay. Anyway, I can laugh about it now. All right. Not that I wasn't happy to be a mom. I always wanted to be a mom. I just didn't want to be a mom, At that point, as in today, because the story of my pregnancy, it was something else, My friend, she kept telling me, I think you're pregnant. I'm like, girl, look, yeah, the church, I rebuke that. Don't just speak that on me, honey, you a lie. And find out, she was like, we just had a conversation about wanting children. She's like, you just said yesterday you wanted children. I said, yeah, but like not today. Not like the next day. It was like, bam, baby. Not really, but still, I had been pregnant, just didn't know it. But anyway, okay, I'm sorry, I'm bringing it back. Anyway, so, all right, this is not just about attraction. We are still on the King of Bricks, all right, or emotion. This is about structure, stability, and the ability to carry the weight of what is being created. So again, this looks like a partner who's financially and practically stable. Someone who actively plans for the future, including family. A masculine who shows up consistently, not just emotionally, but physically and materially. Someone who takes responsibility seriously and understands what it means to provide. And a partner who is thinking about home, security, and long-term legacy. All right, all needed before baby making energy. All right, we move on to the Ace of Brooms. This is the beginning, the spark. Our aces talk about that. It's always the beginning of something. And since we've got brooms, it's our fire energy, the spark, the life force energy, the baby. All right, creation in its purest form. You need that passion to make the baby, right? And spirit is not speaking in metaphors, right? This is conception energy, all right? This is the moment where something begins, not just an idea, not just a plan, Marco. But something that carries life, growth, expansion, all right? So Spirit is saying this is the spark if you know what I mean, the passionate spark. All right, that leads to creation. All right, once again, the passion is here. Yes, just because you got King of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles, we're very grounded, stable. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that passion does not arise. All right, doesn't mean the passion is not there. It is. All right. So passion is here, but more than that, it's alignment. Okay. Readiness, timing, the conditions are right. All right. This is not forced. This is not rushed. All right. This is something that naturally begins because everything is in its place. All right. Nothing is being forced. So we're not trying to make it happen. It's most things are just happening because it all aligns. Okay, we're in this stage now. We're in alignment for this. And now we're in alignment for that. And now we're in alignment for that. All right. It's about timing and most of all, divine timing. All right. So basically, when you are right for it, it is given in a sense. All right. So again, it's not force, it's not rush. It's something that naturally begins because everything is in its place. And in the context of this reading, this is baby making energy. All right, this is the moment where life can be conceived. Physically for some, energetically for others, but for many, literal, right? And we have the What's Gossip Oracle deck. We did not forget about that deck. Retirement goals, right? Long-term stability, future planning, relaxation, earned, living the dream, influencer status, another card, social recognition, online fame, power to influence, brand new, fresh beginnings, reinventing yourself, new ventures, watch me shine. All right, Spirit is saying this creation fits into the life you're building. Right? It doesn't disrupt it. There's no disrupt. There's nothing disruptive here. Just changes, but only aligned changes when you are aligned, when you're ready, right? All right. So this is not something that throws your path off. There's nothing here that stops you from moving. All right. There's changes and big ones, but there's still movement. That's the beautiful thing. It's still movement. You will still be growing. You are not, for lack of better words, trapped. All right. There's no mental trap, emotional trap, physical trap. You're moving. You're going. When you physically move, you're still moving. You're still learning. You're still growing. You're still going. You're not in connections where you feel trapped because you're both moving and going and growing. All right. There's trust there. I don't have to hold your hand everywhere you go. And I don't want to. All right. That's personally for me. I don't want you on me 24/7. I need my space. And so I don't want to be on you 24/7. I'm just sorry. I've been there, done that. If you gonna cheat on me, you're gonna do it. I mean, I've been there, done that before. I have been glued to somebody before, and that somebody will cheat on me every second they got. So being glued doesn't do nothing. Your profile picture, y'all can be together girl, people don't care. And the person I was with was bold enough to just tell, he wouldn't even lie. He would straight up say, I am with someone. I am living with that person. I'm not going to leave her. And made no difference. All right? It made no difference. None. All right? So you can stress yourself out all day long. They're going to do what they want to do. All right? I'm not going to be up underneath you. All right? I'm going to trust you because I'm going to enter into something with somebody that I know, can handle that type of trust. And I don't need to latch on to you. All right. I don't need to latch on to you. And I can also recognize that I am not the only beautiful person in the world. Other beautiful people exist. And your eyes are going to gravitate to that beautiful woman over there. You want to know? Because mine gravitated to, oh my Lord, that is a beautiful woman. So I don't expect you to be blind, but I don't expect you to be a fool either. Okay. So I'm going to leave, that up to you, but I'm not stressing myself out. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on that, but I did. But I did. Anyway, this is not something that throws you off of your path. Nothing that traps you. You are going to feel movement no matter what. All right. You are not going to be restrained and someone trying to control your every move, which is ridiculous anyway. This is something that is a part of your path. All right. It's a part of the path. You're not meant to do this alone. All right. Again, This can look like a literal pregnancy or conception for some, not all. Expanding your family in a stable, intentional way. Entering a new chapter of life that includes raising and nurturing something new. Building a life where growth continues beyond just the two of you. Experiencing a beginning that feels aligned, supported, and meant to happen. All right. All right. That is wonderful. So I went in by pulling a card from the Forest Friends deck. I know how that sounds. Forest Friends deck. And this is positive inspirations from the animal kingdom. That's what the deck is. All right. It's so cute. So let's see what we get here, and that will help us close things off. And we'll move along. Hopefully we don't have, no, I don't think we're going to have to. I hope we won't have to shuffle too long. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But if we do, I just stack. You know, what's it called? Split the deck, pull a card, and we got one that's standing out. I guess I'll take it. Oh, okay, excuse me. Oh, we'll do this one. Okay. So we have Peaceful Fox. I'll show you how the card looks. It's just little cards. It's kind of, I don't know if you will be able to see it well. But anyway, Peaceful Fox, recharge. Take time out from life's demands. Rest, refresh, restore. Hallelujah. How can you make a baby without rest, without peace, or without restoration? All right. And that Four of Pentacles energy, which was being represented by, from the Wizard of Oz Tarot. I forgot, that's the deck we were using. The Four of Pentacles would be what it's called in the traditional Oracle deck. But the Four of Bricks, the Four of Pentacle energy, you were already holding on in doing that, right? You're protecting yourself. You're being intentional about health routines, about emotional and physical environments. So that's like the recharge, all right? Recharge, refresh. Love it. Well, that concludes baby making energy for the Rooted and Rising family, all right? Rooted and Rising, you must know. You're moving. Some of you, I think a lot of you, not a lot of you, are really moving. Most of you are building, all right? And you are creating life. You're fruitful, all right? As always, stay rooted, stay rising, and aligned with all the divine gifts ahead.